Hey, let's start the show.
All right.
I'm going to get yelled at. Oh, bad husband.
And we are live.
I am recording.
You're listening to the Verhoeven Effect podcast. I'm Colin.
And I'm Nathan.
And we are watching network television because me and Nathan do not watch network television. We are currently watching the first season of Blacklist, which first aired in 2013. We are watching the second season of The Mentalist, which first aired in 2009. And we are watching the second season of Miami Vice, which first aired in 1985. And as always, we start with the Blacklist. The season finale. We have season 1, episode 22, Berlin, number 8, conclusion. Original air date May 12, 2014, MEC Monday. With the crashing of the mysterious prisoner transport plane, the city is on lockdown. Was it? As the authorities are on the hunt of all the escapees. Meanwhile, with Red in custody, Liz uses her powers to get him out since he is their best chance at finding all the suspects. She didn't get him out. Elsewhere, I think this was written by somebody not with the show.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait, did I miss something?
Elsewhere, their main objective is to track down Berlin, a prisoner on the plane who is somehow involved. Showrunner John Bokenkamp, written by a healthy amount of people here.
Yeah, it shows.
We got a teleplay by John Eisendrath and John Bokenkamp and Lucas Ryder and J.R. Ortsey, based on a story by Richard Davido?
Yeah, I'd say DeVito. It's spelled in a weird way.
Yeah.
Not like Danny DeVito, but
I think when I looked up like this guy's credits, he has no credits. I wonder if this was just like loose around somewhere or if it's based on some story he wrote.
I don't know.
Because he's not associated. Actually, no, he's okay. So one thing I do know, this doesn't come out till 3 years later. So this is like this is a spoiler, but there is a second Blacklist show that I ran one season. It's called Blacklist Redemption, and that I think that guy is a part of that. He's like a producer of that show.
Oh, okay. He's an economist from the University of Massachusetts. he has also written the script for 13 Ghosts and another one called The Call.
Huh.
So, interesting.
And this episode is directed by Michael W. Watkins, who's a pretty regular series director here. But yeah, we start at the plane crash, and there's just people stumbling around, and they're confused and possibly concussed. You know, a plane crash. We have some dead people. I like one bit. There's like the plane fuselage, and then there's just like an old school like printer cable hanging out.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. It's like, is that for the dot matrix printer in the computer in the plane?
Maybe it was like an old monitor cable because I think it was blue, but even those are obsolete now. So. We have Matt Lauer reporting on the crash.
Yeah, that was interesting. It's like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're with NBC, so you can just get them for a day. So.
Yep. Just do this for 15 minutes. I don't want to. Do it, Matt. Or we'll talk about the lock button.
The FBI are interviewing all the people on the plane, and they keep mentioning that someone cut their hand off. I feel like I think it works for like the ultimate surprise, but I feel like I'm supposed to get something else out of these like interviews because they keep coming back to them as like a way to like reset everything, which is like, it's a good idea, but I don't know if it only kind of added the one thing, which was more just like people misconstruing words rather than like anything else in the episode.
About the hand?
Yeah.
See, I never misconstrued that. I always thought it's like, oh no, that guy, that's literally what that meant. But for some reason, everyone was like, oh no, they mean it literally. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course they. Yeah, I always, I never. Sometimes I don't think right though. I just think in straight lines. So, if you told me somebody cut their hand off, I'd be like, why? What do you mean? It's like, no, figuratively. Oh, okay.
Well, I thought the whole like thing was that like they say like the guard. And then he cut his hand off. And they're like, oh, yeah, you cut off the guard's hand, right? And they're like, No, the guard. He cut his hand. I think that's how it worked, or something else, or whatever. We have Red is handcuffed and being put away by the creepy bad FBI agent who like works for Alan. It's Martin,
Yeah.
Agent Martin. Um, he's like, you know, why are you doing all this? And like, is the girl, is she worth it? And then like, yeah, like Red just says, yeah, the girl, she's worth it. And then we cut to credits. Come back, and like Cooper's seems to be on his way out, but they are like letting him work whatever this case is because like Martin keeps on tapping impatiently on the glass in like his office or whatever, and he just ignores him. And the team are trying to figure out where the plane came from and why. And then like the people on the plane are all just like kidnapped criminals or something. Like,
Yeah.
well, actually, no, I guess they mentioned later on. It's like it's apparently the Russians are kidnapping the criminals that escaped justice, and they're just like going to other countries and getting the criminals back illegally. So,
Yeah.
or something like that. I don't know, it would be kind of interesting, but here it's just kind of a smoke screen. It doesn't really mean anything. We got some dude doing pull-ups, and then Tom shows up and hands him off a list to the bald guy, and it's a list of all the whole post office team. Then we have Liz is trying to convince Agent Martin that Red can help the team. And then Agent Martin, like, he goes into like where Red's cell is, and it looks like he's gonna let Liz in or whatever, let Red out, but no, he just lets Alan in to talk to Red. And then we like, it's like dun 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 break. And that's where he's basically supposed to figure out like, oh, Martin's in Alan's back pocket, presumably. Seems like there's a lot of back pockets by the end of this episode. So,
Yeah.
and then, but like, yeah, and then Alan's there. They come back and like Alan's like, yeah, we used all our resources of just illegally, getting the country's data. I don't know if it's through official government resources or their own secret cabal of government agencies, but even they don't know where this plane came from. And then Martin takes Red out, and like he's supposed to stage an escape, and it's kind of funny because Martin's like, you get 2 chances to knock me out, you got to make it look good or else I'm putting a bullet in your head, and he just knocks him out immediately with one punch.
Yeah.
And then like does the whole like puts the cuffs over the thing to like pull the driver aside, and they crash the car, and then Red gets out and leaves, and they have to pretend like Red escaped, we didn't let him out. Because like almost immediately, like Cooper's like, "Hey, Red, go do this." It's like, what are we doing? There's like 3 FBI's.
There's dark cabal FBI, there's post office FBI, and then there's the guys like bumbling around that can't catch terrorists, and I don't know. It's like the FBI is more like the CIA in this.
Yeah. And then, Red gets away. Just says like the post office team is in danger, even though I don't think anybody like said that. He's just like, this is what it all means. But then we have Wrestler and Miller at some club. The team back at HQ are trying to get a hold of them to tell them they're in danger. Wrestler's trying to arrest some guy, but he gets in a fight, and then Mira is like tailing a guy, and then the tail like gets a slip on her and then slits her throat, and she's dead.
Yeah.
Which is surprising. So
yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
Liz gets on the scene, and she's like holding Mirror, and then it's like, and then they cut to break, and I was like, is she dead or not? Because she's still kind of gurgling. I guess get some pressure on the wound.
Yeah.
But then they come back and they're like, yeah, she's dead. Because Liz is meeting with Red and Dembe. And apparently, like, this is like a part of Red's doing, because like the post office team, they're like forcing Berlin out in the open, but only like Red knew that. So, I don't know. They're like a super secret FBI force, so they should always like be assuming danger all the time, considering all the crap that they've all been through anyways.
Yeah.
There's more interviews with the plane prisoners. Wrestler says it's an SVR op, which I guess is like the modern day KGB, or does the KGB still exist and the SVR
No,
replace them?
the KGB doesn't exist. It's called the FSB, and then the SVR I think that's military, because
Well,
that
the thing I read said that they do basically like foreign intelligence ops is what the SVR does.
yeah, yeah, it's something like because you had the KGB, and then which was just Russian for the Committee for State Security, and then you had the FSB, which I think it means Federal Security something, and then
Yeah.
um yeah, there's a lot of, because there used to be, because I forget there was, and then because there was Soviet military intelligence, which was their own thing too.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those. It's just Russian stuff. It all changes.
Yeah.
Like there's a whole lot of legitimacy to how that government operates in the real world, let alone in the pretend one. So,
but yeah, the Russians are stealing back their own fugitives, presumably illegally, and
yeah,
and Cooper wants Red involved, and so Red breaks into the Russian ambassador's house, and he's like menacingly eating a peach with a knife while he's holding like this guy's dog, and then the guy's scared that Red's gonna hurt the dog. He's like, "Oh, I would never," and then throws a knife in his leg.
yeah. I would never hurt a dog.
And then apparently then Red gets info. He gets a bunch of names that like some to these people, so that they can try to like track him down. But and then they go to the hospital to like they supposedly handcuffed or like secret police guy or whatever, or guard or whatever.
Guard, yeah.
And it's Peter Stormare.
That's how I knew it was, that guy was not like just some guy, because it's like, well, that's a famous actor, so
Yeah.
this is going to end up being like the big bad guy, because he always plays that role.
Yeah, because he's Swedish, but he basically always plays a crazy Eastern European.
Yeah,
he was the crazy guy in Armageddon that like he was the crazy Russian astronaut that like turned on the machine gun.
The space station. Yeah.
He's in like John Wick as some crazy Russian guy. He's always like the crazy guy. He's literally in hundreds of things. So yeah, it's it. And like I didn't write it down, so I can't claim that like I knew this was going to happen. But I was like, oh yeah, that'd be a good cover if you cut off your own hand.
Yeah, no one would believe. Very Kaiser Sose of you. It's like, no one would do that.
But I didn't write it down, so I can't claim that like I knew that. I was thinking it, but I didn't write it down, so I can't.
I just knew it because it's like, well, this is a famous name actor. So.
Yeah, because the guy they're saying is Berlin is just some kind of like, I don't know, like British bald dude, and it's like, if that's Berlin, that's kind of lame. It has to be Peter Stormare because he's interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, like Stormare's like selling like talking about Berlin and saying he's like some kind of KGB mythical figure who was like sending all his enemies to like the gulags and stuff like that, and then he gets put in the gulag, and then like they kill his daughter and send her piece by piece to him, and while he's in prison, and then supposedly like he makes like a knife out of one of her bones to like kill all of his enemies.
Yeah, it's a very Russian story. Yeah, I could see that happening in Russia.
And presumably it's like, oh, okay, so this is why this guy's after Red, but Red's confused because he doesn't. I don't think anybody says like, nobody says like, you killed Berlin's daughter to Red, so he's no one just directly states that. He doesn't like deny it or confirm it or anything like that, so that just never comes up for him. But we all know that as the audience.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, and that doesn't seem like a very Red would kill people. Like he would kill your daughter.
Yeah.
If but he wouldn't just like, oh, I'm gonna mail him parts of her. It's like, that's like dark.
And then we have Martin and Cooper are having like a mysterious conversation where it's like they're hinting at shadow people pulling the strings. It's like,
yeah.
And Cooper's just kind of like, we're the FBI. What's happening? No, the real power. It's like, what are you talking about? uh, Cooper goes back to his car. His driver has his throat slit, and Cooper gets garroted. And then
He manages to get his finger between his neck and the garret.
yeah, um, it's but and they cut the outside. We have the guy who's supposed to be Berlin like crossing off the name, so it's like okay, we're supposed to believe he's dead, but there's no concrete proof that he's dead yet. He's still kicking out the front windshield.
Yeah.
But then we I don't know, maybe we don't get wrestlers interrogating one of the guys again, and this is where he takes off his tie and basically like
Oh, he's interrogating the guy that strangled that killed Mira.
oh yeah, okay,
Tried to
okay.
strangle the director of the post office. Yeah,
Cooper, yeah.
Cooper. Yeah.
So yeah, he takes off his tie and starts strangling him, and he gets a name, Milos Pavlokinski, but that's the bald guy. And I wrote maybe Berlin because I was like, it's like I'm not sure that's Berlin.
We've been down this rabbit hole before.
Well, yeah, it seemed like we're like in the first 20 minutes of the show, and it's like it feels like we're wrapping up here, but we know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, like how to like kind of pick these shows apart, where you like look at the time code, know who actors are, and you just like know, okay, this is what's going to happen, just like this, and which is interesting because like none of that stuff's on the paper when you write the screenplay.
No, but yeah, you start to see themes develop.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a movie where it's like, okay, we got 2 hours, we can establish the importance of a certain exchange or a word or a book, and then that will come back later in the movie and be like, brilliant, it tied it all together. But in a TV show, that just starts repeating. And it's like, oh, this is a misdirect because something that happened in episode 6
Yeah.
and especially these shows where it's all a connected narrative. Each show is a standalone, but it's all connected to a greater thing. It's like, oh yeah, we start seeing all these patterns develop.
But yeah, they have pictures of the Pavlov guy that they think's Berlin, and that's what Alan says, and he says like, hey, he makes Putin look like a Christmas elf.
Yeah.
Which doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah.
And then Red wants access to Alan's like global data spy network. They also infer that Cooper's in dead because they says like, I'm sorry about Agent Cooper or whatever, and he's like, yeah. And but I think the next scene we have Liz meeting with Red, and then she says something like, yeah, we don't know if Cooper will make it, and then Red talks about like how Liz like got to Sam, which was her like adopted father, and it's like really weird because they're now back to the whole like Red, like, I'm not your father is somebody else.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, is there like a third person in this whole thing that could be your father? It's like, no, it's just Red, right? But we'll get to the end. They basically reconfirm things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Then like Red gets a call, and he's like, he gets her address to like where Berlin's supposed to be, and then he just hangs up the phone. It's like, we gotta look another place. So the next scene is just Red going after Berlin with a silenced pistol and just shoots everybody in the building.
Yeah, Red becomes John Wick all of a sudden. Like he just like kills 7 or 8 people, 2 of them out on a public street. Just no one's calling the cops. What the hell's going on here?
Yeah, just in some abandoned part of the town. You don't call the cops here.
Yeah, dead bodies aren't a big deal around here.
It's a fun scene because the Red gets to be a badass because he's usually all talk, but when he does action, he's just like all of his like facade is gone, and it's just kind of fun. It's like, oh, you don't want to get in front, you don't want to get in that guy's way.
Yeah, I mean it was fun, but it was kind of like, oh yeah, he's really angry. It's killing a lot of people.
And we come back to like real quick where Wrestler and Liz are like standing watch over Cooper, so he's still alive. And then we have Red interrogating Berlin, or who we think is Berlin. Red says he knows everyone, but he doesn't know who Berlin is. And like basically, he's like the secret to Red is basically he has like, what do you call that? Eidetic memory. He remembers everything.
Yeah, he remembers the names not only of the main people, but like their mistresses, their children,
he just is like, I don't know who Berlin is. And the guy says they searched a long time to find his weakness, and they're about to give up, but then they found Liz. Which sort of makes sense because the whole thing is like this guy's getting revenge for his daughter. It's like, okay, he's going after Red's daughter.
Right.
But then Red has tried to make it so that like he doesn't have a daughter or nobody knows it. But then Tom sneaks in on Liz and holds her up with a gun. He's like, "Hi, honey," because we're cutting back and forth here. Red's trying to figure out who Berlin is. He shoots him in the hand, and then he shoots him in the hip, and then the guy's saying like Beirut 2010, and then Red goes the Campalongo incident, and then Tom busts in with Liz as a human shield. Red just kills Berlin. He's like, now it's just three of us.
Well, yeah, because that was the standoff. Like it was like, oh, if you kill him, I'll kill her, and he just shoots him in the head. It's like, well, now you can put the gun down. Now it's over.
And then like Red's like working his way over to Tom. He's like, you better put the gun down because when I get over there, I'm going to take it away. And then Tom shoots Red. And then Liz gets the gun from Tom and shoots him in the guts a bunch of times. Red goes to kill Tom, just like shoot him in the head. But Liz like has him hold off, and they just walk out of there. And then Tom whispers something to Liz before he passes out.
Well, Red tells her that he's like, you got to kill him.
Yeah,
I'll leave you alone, but you got to kill him.
Which is something like. Yeah, the thing that got spoiled for me is that the whole Blacklist redemption, what do you call it?
Spinoff.
Yeah, spinoff. That was Tom was one of the characters in that. So.
Oh, okay.
It's like, that's why it's called Blacklist Redemption. We're taking the people from the blacklist and we're making them like redeem themselves by putting them up on other missions, but that doesn't come out for 3 years, so I still don't know what they do with Tom and the other 2 years otherwise. Also, that guy who plays Tom, he's already in another NBC show called like New Amsterdam. It's been like it's like a hospital show that's been running for like 5 years or something.
Oh, okay. Never heard of it.
Yeah. Again,
all the stuff I miss.
Again, we don't watch network television, so
I can tell you all about like the Tom Baker era Doctor Who, but I haven't seen a show that's been on TV for 5 years. But that's kind of me. I don't sit around and watch TV. So.
Well, I know, like, what would get you into a hospital drama now? You've seen enough of it that they're just all the same, right?
Like the bill collectors, like that would be like, oh, this is the part of this is the show this is the part they don't show you. They just show you the miracles. It's like, oh, you're a genius. They don't show you like the dark hand in the glove that's like emptying your savings. It's like, you want your daughter to live, right? that would be like insurance company debt. But these people have no moral compunctions about what they're doing, just like in real life.
You call it like the collectors, and then like all the imagery for the poster just has like bones and stuff on it to make people think like it's some serial killer drama. No, it's just about people sucking.
Much worse than that. Yeah, it's a lot worse. Like at least serial killers are like, oh, this is why this guy's nuts. It's like, oh, these people are just greedy. They just don't care. I mean, you could show that they have dark lives and that they're miserable people also, but then you're just like, oh, this is like everyone in America at this point. You
know? We have Wrestler and Liz are like packing.
After hope, there's the collector. Sorry, it just came to my head.
Now you have to have a hospital show named Hope that precedes the collectors.
Yeah. Yeah, like the first season is about the amazing technology of medicine and everyone's happy. It's like, my daughter's gonna live. 3 months later, it's just like a phone ringing and that guy's staring at the wall, not talking, sweat running down his face. The collectors. Are you gonna take her life away? Not yet. but there's a new bill moving through the House. Yeah, like everyone's like all the collectors are like the smoking man from like X-Files. It's like,
Yeah.
are they good? Are they bad? What do they represent? It's like, no, they just represent a different kind of evil. It's yeah.
Yeah, and you have some juxtaposition where like you have like that guy is like in the middle of like some scene where like somebody's holding up like the gas station or something like that, and they're scared of the tax or the collector.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need weapons to destroy your life. I just need a name and a social security number.
Yeah, it's just all, yeah, it'd be great. That's the medical drama everyone in America really wants to see. You would probably be sued, like if you tried to do that. Like there would be such an outcry against you from just random sources. Like, I wonder who's behind this.
I mean, there's a fucking medical insurance company literally called Cobra, the enemy of the GI Joes.
Yeah. No, that's not an insurance company. That's an act that our government did. Yeah, because like say I lost my job for some reason,
Yeah.
I would have the right to retain my health insurance through my employer, but it's called the Cobra Act, which means I would have to then pay for it. And it'd be like $10,000 a month. Or so. It's like, oh well, so you could continue your health care. It's like, well, I could do all kinds of things if I had millions of dollars. It's like, yeah, the possibilities are endless, but it's yeah, that's called the Cobra Act.
Yeah, everything I've heard about Cobra is just awful because it's like, oh, this is what this stuff cost.
This is why we're still an empire. In case you're wondering, like this is there's no other country in the world that gets away with crap like this. But I mean, we'll have people that need the healthcare like storm the Capitol in our country, like against it, not for it. If it was for it, I'd be like, well, maybe not what I would do, but good on you. But no, these are the people that like have the most to lose and are the poorest. It's like, make me a slave to debt. I don't want to be no communist. It's like you have nothing. You're the perfect candidate to be a communist. Most of you don't even have half of what I do, and it's like you're just
and they need the healthcare.
Yeah, and they need it. That's the thing. It's like you're like all these trailer park people that just we're getting way off subject here, but yeah, it's amazing. Like,
well, I mean, that was the thing. They always have those. As Republicans too, where they're just, we really need to get like Americans back in shape because that's what's costing all this healthcare money. And if you were just in shape, it wouldn't cost you so much money. It's like, well, that's sure, but that still doesn't solve the problem. Like, if your idea is like, they're not going to get in shape and they're still going to be stuck with these bills. That's why you say that. You just put the blame on the people.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing with recycling. Is like you put the blame on the people. It's like, oh, you didn't recycle enough bottles. I guess the Earth's going to go to hell. It's like, well, no, it's all the companies that are doing all the stuff that's destroying the world.
Yeah, I don't have any like agency in this other than like, maybe I didn't take my cans to the the side place they go to before they go into the landfill anyway. It's like, yeah, that's my fault, right?
Okay. So when Wrestler and Liz are packing up Mira's office, this is when they realize that the guard, the phrase "the guard cut off his hand" didn't mean like the guy he was cuffed to. The prisoner didn't cut off the guard's hand. The guard cut off the guard's hand. He cut off his own hand as a smoke screen. And then as they're like realizing this, they cut to the hospital where the real Berlin. Peter Stormare has escaped, but he left his daughter's bone knife on the ground after he killed some people on the way out.
Yep.
And then we have a montage.
A very 90s moody music montage.
We have Liz leaving her finally just an empty home, so it's all packed up. Don't know where she's going. The FBI find the not Berlin, but Tom is missing, so he's still a threat.
Yeah.
Berlin is trimming his beard and looking at his daughter's watch, which is one of the things they adding his whole backstory where it's like you got this daughters and watching, he basically knew that she was dead because he was trying to keep her away from all the bad guys. And then Liz meets with Red to keep him from leaving for good because he kind of gave himself an ultimatum where it's like, do you still want me around? Because I'll just like leave you forever. I'll just leave this place forever and like leave you alone. And she's like, yeah. And then so and then she's like kind of like decides that like no, she needs Red for whatever else is going to happen.
Yeah.
And then she tells Red that Tom told her that her father was alive. Red says very specifically that her dad died in the fire, which doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's
just
like
a metaphor.
A metaphoric death, a spiritual death, a conversion, perhaps.
And then we have Berlin. He's looking at the watch and he opens it up and he sees there's a picture of his daughter in there. And then we cut to Red and he's looking at the picture that he pulled out of the book from the stew maker. So that was Berlin's daughter that got killed by the stew maker and cut up and sent to him.
Yeah.
And so that's the same girl. So that's what he pulled out. And then Red is taking his shirt off to like redress like a bullet graze that when Tom shot him in like the kind of shoulder, but just like grazed. And that's when it's revealed like he has a bunch of burn marks on his back. So it's like, okay, he's Liz's father.
Which is like a weird late stage reveal, because when he surrendered himself to the FBI in the first episode, they would have stripped that guy down, you know, to his underwear to make sure he didn't have anything on him, and wouldn't they have known then? It's like, this guy's burns, like nasty looking burns all over his body.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it's like that never made it to Liz, or
yeah. I mean, they did process him out of her visage, so
yeah, that's true.
Is this visage mean just like, what does that mean? I mean, just he didn't see her at the time or whatever. Am I using that correctly?
I always thought visage was like an artificial image of someone.
Oh, okay.
But I could be wrong. Let me just look that up because I'm not the last word on.
He was out of her sight during that processing, so whenever the FBI processed him. So.
It's a game. Visage, face, countenance, or appearance of a person, sometimes an animal. Okay. Used in context, the grimy visage.
Berlin's like whole setup to like get into the U.S. was so like dramatic that it didn't seem like why would somebody do that? It just seems they're doing it for dramatic purposes rather than for practical purposes. Which I know it's the Blacklist, so it's like the drama's fun, but like it seemed like a little over the top for what ultimately happens. We just needed to get a guy in the U.S.
Yeah, it seemed like a very complex way to do something that could be handled with a boat, you know. But maybe, you know, because again, we were hoping for like a lot of tie-ups. Yeah. From the first episode, like, oh, this is all going to come together, and then nothing did really. I mean, some things did, but Tom's still running around with just more bullets in him. You know, Red and Liz have sort of healed their relationship, but unless Liz is stupid, it's like, yeah, Red's your father. You know, I mean, she's not stupid, so she must on some level know this, which is why she came back to the house.
Yeah,
like, yeah, we still need each other in our twisted relationship. And we don't know, like, if the directors of the post office, Cooper, is going to come back. I assume he is because they kept him alive for a reason.
Yeah. I killed Mirror off.
Killed Mirror off.
Kind of felt like there was like more in her character, but oh well.
Yeah, I mean, she was actually a CIA like directorate of operations person. Yeah. Like, she's like, oh, this is how the wrestler.
Yeah.
Wrestler kind of makes Mirror a little redundant because he sort of like has made it clear. It's like, I color outside the lines now, and you know, I'm violent and I like to shoot guns off in crowded cities. So it's like, yeah, we almost have two characters that are like kind of stepping over each other.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's a reason. We'll find out in season 4 why they killed her. I don't know.
Yeah, or she'll come back alive.
Because she was like, remember, she was like inserted on behalf of the deputy U.S. attorney that Red killed a few episodes back.
Yeah.
Is like she was put in there. Mira was put in there at her request.
Yeah.
So I always thought there was like something tying them together, but then Red proved there wasn't. So it's like I don't know. Maybe it was just like time to thin the herd a little bit, have more compact stories, or
we'll see.
etc. Like, I mean, we got 10 more years to figure it out. So,
and she might have got a better job offer because it looked like
yeah.
she got after this. It seemed like she got a major role in the Alcatraz TV show, which only had one season.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think I had two, maybe.
I just remember the one.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of cool for 3 episodes, and I was like, okay, I'm done.
Yeah, so that was episode. So it's kind of disappointed, but what about the season as a whole? What did you think of the season?
Oh, I like the Blacklist. I mean, for this kind of entertainment, I liked it. I mean, this isn't the spy who came in from the cold type good, but it's kind of like pop culture and spies and like everything scary thing they talk about in the paper at that time and even now. It's like, oh yeah, these are all the people. We got Chinese bad guys, Russian bad guys, American bad guys, and it's all kind of a conglomeration of a lot of pop culture and an interesting like inverse spy story.
Yeah, and I like how every few episodes they basically have like a almost supernatural villain, but just built out of like modern like worry.
Yeah.
So I always thought that stuff was pretty good. But
yeah, and and it's got a good cast and
like James Spader.
James Spader just steals the. I remember we always talk about the redisms, about the red speeches, about different things he did, and sometimes because you said it once, and I think I've said it once, is like, is he just freeballing those? Like, is that just pure James Spader? Like, okay, I'm going to come up with a weird story now. It's going to be like a wacky ad lib that's going to involve either me taking drugs or being shot or some surreal experience I had or something I know about. And it's like, yeah, whenever that guy's on screen, he steals the whole show.
Yeah.
So, and he has that guy's a great actor and he has fun with it. And he stuck with it for a long time, so he must, really get something out of it.
So, I guess it'll be finalized next week. But are we going to season 2 of the Blacklist?
I think I would like to do that.
Okay.
Because it's kind of in the wheelhouse of like, fear meets pop culture meets TV.
Yeah.
About all the enemies we have. It's a great post 9/11 like show. Like, yeah, everyone's an enemy, literally everyone.
And even though as like dramatic and heavy-handed as it can be, they do have it's mostly red, but they do have like humor and fun you can have with the show.
Yeah, it's not taking itself so seriously. Like, oh my god.
But for a network television show, it's incredibly violent.
Yeah.
Or they just do a good job of implying violence very heavily.
Well, it's horrible people, and people are going to die horribly around them, and it's like because the whole stew maker thing. Wrestler gets a head from Red, and I don't mean that kind. I mean actually a head in the box, and it's like that's a little rough for prime time, or at least not what I expected. But then again, I haven't watched network television since I was a kid. So.
And then for our second show, we have season 2, episode 22, The Mentalist, season 2, episode 22, Red Letter. Original air date May 13, 2010, CBS Thursday. A man is murdered right before he is to deliver an important speech about human trafficking at a conference. Psychic Christina Fry is brought in to help CBI solve the case. Well, she's not helping CBI. She's helping the sheriff's department. But even though Patrick remains skeptical about her gift, end quote. Showrunner Bruno Heller, written by Egan Mahoney, and directed by John F. Showalter. So we bring back a character from season 1.
Yeah,
she was the foil, sort of the opposite of. Well, it's like at one time they're kind of the same person. They were just charlatans scamming people, and now kind of Jane has kind of turned it into investigative skills, but Fry here is still kind of doing it as like a mystical thing. Like, I'm just
And she's
talking
not
for the
breaking
people.
character either.
No.
Every time he mocks her or something, she's like, "Nah, it's a gift." It's like, "Oh, okay."
So
But
there's
it's
like,
exactly what he used to be, so
yeah,
it's like, "Oh, okay."
But also she just sees right through Jane too, so he doesn't like that. It's like, no, I'm
Yeah.
supposed to be a mystery. This isn't fun anymore. We're at some human rights convention that's going on. With Christopher Lynch, played by Rick Hoffman. He's not in Hundreds of Things, but you know this guy because he always plays some smarmy lawyer dipshit.
Oh, okay.
Or some middle manager, and he just has like the most punchable face in the world.
Oh, yeah.
He's like waiting for somebody. He's like, someone's late, and then they have like guy's named Mr. Brava or Hector Brava. He's like the person of interest. He gets a text from someone named Carmen. And then they kind of cut to a lady finding Brava dead in a pool of blood in like the back rooms of like a kitchen or something, or just some back hallway of a convention center or whatever. So CBS is called in. Brava runs some like anti-human trafficking organization. The officer, or I guess the sheriff, calls Jane a psychic, but Jane's like, yeah, there's no such thing as psychics.
Yeah, because he's like, "Oh, are you the psychic?" And he's like, "Yeah, there's no such thing as psychic." So no, I'm not. Yeah, it was some kind of Jane answer.
Yeah. They're going over the scene, but Jane's like suspicious that Brava's speech wasn't on him because, like, they went through all stuff. It's like, nobody robbed him. It's like, yeah, but where's his speech? And then but then Jane's like saying like the killing was like an act of surprise to stop Brava, so it wasn't like a planned killing. And the sheriff's like, yeah, our psychic said the same thing. And they're like, what? And that's when they bring back Christina Fry. She's working with the sheriff's department. Like I said, she's from season 1 where I forget what it's called, but that's when the lady gets hit by the car and there's a whole thing, and they have like a seance at the end to try to figure out who actually killed it. So they do a lot of similar things in this episode. So Jane and Fry kind of have like a standoff for a bit. Jane insults the sheriff by saying, "It's like, you're with your cats and living with your mom at home while she's knitting." And then he's like kind of insulted by it, and then it's like, "How'd you know that? You are a psychic." It's like, "No, I saw the cat hair on your pants and no wedding ring."
Yeah, it was,
after that was all guesses.
Yeah.
And then Lisbon just kind of takes the sheriff away. He's like, I'll have to apologize for him. Then we cut to like the credit sequence, or like it's not really a credit sequence, but it's like
a bump
title card sequence.
Yeah.
Or whatever, so, come back. We have Jane and Fry are catching up. Lisbon, Jane, and Fry interview Brava's wife, which I think it's her wife. She's listed as like Ilsa Evans, so like either she didn't take his name or they're not married.
That's his wife.
Okay. She mentions Russell Bigelow. Fry does her thing on Ilsa. Is like, yeah, I'm talking to the beyond. She's making up excuses like, because Jane's just like insulting her. It's like, yeah, you're talking with him. He can't say who has died. He can't say who killed him, but he can't say you had like cherry blossoms at your wedding. And then she's like, it's like waking up from a coma or whatever, or from no, she says waking up from what do they call it when they put you on surgery?
Oh, like anesthesia.
Yeah, it's like waking up from anesthesia. It's like what talking beyond is. Lisbon just like mentions Carmen, but like nobody knows who that is. And then we have Ilsa says she's like, it's an opera. And then Jane just insults her and goes for the whole like, it's like, there's adultery among is going on. Like, that's got to be what's happening here. And then she throws a tea saucer at him.
Yeah, someone has a realistic reaction to Jane's insults. Where she's just like going to try to hit him in the head with something. He ducks at the last minute, but Yeah, because she says he's like, yeah, you're very stoic. It's like that kind of Jackie Onassis thing. It's like, maybe you're happy your husband's dead. Maybe he was just cheating on you, and he's a piece of crap, and you're glad he's gone. And she like throws this tea saucer at him at full speed because she's like kind of this upper class British lady. It's like how
Yeah.
she acts, and then so somebody has a realistic reaction to Jane for once. It's like because this guy should have had shouldn't have a tooth left in his head with the stuff he does to people.
Oh, it's funny. He does like kind of walk up closer. Is like, I apologize profusely, and then like hands her his teacup and saucer.
Yeah.
Just so she has her hands full, so he can get away. They have Rigsby and Cho are interviewing Bigelow. Bigelow says he's scared because because he thinks like people can get to him because the anti-human trafficking group that's like at the head of this conference is a trafficking group.
Yeah, they're trying to monopolize the competition. We're trying to form a monopoly by running all the other human traffickers out of business.
Which is funny because like this precedes that Blacklist episode, but that is a whole episode of the Blacklist.
Yeah, Again, this is stuff people have been talking about trafficking for years, but yeah, this is very of the time. It's like this is dark and deep and mysterious.
But Bigelow hands off a USB drive that's supposed to have the speech on it, but like, even though the speech is like this important part, it never actually gets like shown. It's just talked about. It's a MacGuffin.
It's basically used as a way to interrogate the guy who runs that the Lynch guy. It's just like, oh yeah, you're mentioned profusely in this, and they're talking about how you're, and he just kind of like laughs, is like, it's all nonsense. You can audit me. You can do it. This guy's really like smug and self-assured.
Yeah.
He's like, okay, yeah, you want to interrogate me? Get my lawyer. I'm not doing it. That's what that whole speech was. Because then Jane is like, sociopath, but not killer. Like someone who doesn't see any value in human life, but not someone who murdered out of passion.
He's just the guy that tells the Nazi scientists to increase the voltage.
Yeah.
He's not increasing the voltage.
Yeah, he doesn't want to see it. He just wants to see like papers of like, oh, this is much more efficient.
But Lynch points to Tariq Sharif as like having an argument with Brava. So Elizabeth and Jane go to some hotel where Sharif is at, and then Fry's just mysteriously already there. She's picked up. They never explain like why she's ahead of them. She's just kind of like, "Oh, you're here," which seems mysterious and
incriminating.
Yeah, that's suspicious.
Yeah.
But they're trying to make her look good. Like, see, she's ahead of Jane.
Yeah, look, she's predicting our every move.
But Sharif is wearing sunglasses to hide like a bruise he got from Brava when he punched him. So that obviously that guy knows that would look bad. So because the guy just died. So
he's wearing his sunglasses at night.
So he can keep track of his visions and dreams.
Yes. Dun, 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 oh wait, no, we'll get in trouble.
Sharif and Elsa were like flirting with each other, at least that's what Sharif says, and then Brava intervened. Sharif said he was a hypocrite because Brava cheats on his wife, and then there was like a woman who wasn't Ilsa that was like leaving Brava's like apartment or not apartment, but just like place at the hotel.
Hotel, yeah.
Because there's like sometimes like Brava has like just a secret like place on the side or something.
Well, he has a secret. Well, he has a residence in Oakland.
Oh, okay.
He uses to hook up with women, but this is like the night before the conference at the hotel.
Yeah. And then Cho and Rigsby trace a signal to some sketchy private property. They hop the fence that says "keep out," and then they hear like yelling coming from a truck, and so they pop it open, and it's just a truck full of women being trafficked. They're all dirty, different ages. There's babies in there, but they're all women. And then we cut to break. Because they traced it from the Lynch's like phone like to that place. That's how they got there. So
yeah.
We have Cho interrogating Lynch again until he like asks for his lawyer. And then Hightower is like convinced that they can like link enough evidence to him to put him away. And then also this like where Hightower is like asked Jane about his dating life.
Yeah, she's like weirdly like, so you and fire, there's a thing there, huh? He's like, why are you asking me this? Have we got to this already? You know, he's just kind of put off by the whole thing.
Well, there's some point where Jane says like which one, and she's like the blonde one, and I was like, oh, just I didn't see Fry as having blonde hair.
Yeah, I thought it
I
was
thought
a
it was kind
redhead
of
or
bright.
something.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
like brown, reddish brown or something. I was like, okay, but like Lisbon was next to her. It's like, well, it's not Lisbon. Lisbon has black hair
yeah,
or brunette. What is that simultaneous? Is that
pretty much.
brunette means like anywhere from like brown, dark brown to just black? I never understood.
Yeah,
Brunette. Okay.
I think it's like a dark, like black hair is like what like Japanese women have like just black hair,
Yeah.
where it's like what they call soy sauce black, and yeah, Lisbon's like a brunette, but it's so dark it's like almost black.
Yeah.
Because really there is no black hair; it's just grades of brown.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I think that's why I'm confused by it because like it's like, oh, I would say that it's black, but like technically it's just a really dark brown.
yeah,
Then we have Jane and Fryer like interview Ilsa again. They mention Brava may have been with another woman the night before his death, but she says Tariq was lying about that. And then like they ever see where like it seems like Jane has like hired a call girl for some ruse, and he gets like Lisbon in on it. And we cut to break. We come back, and they get introduced to the barkeep, who's like also the pimp of this girl here.
yeah,
And then like they're kind of playing along, and then Lisbon just ultimately has to like reveal herself to be a federal agent, and then the barkeep like kind of points at Bigelow's getting the call girl because like they basically like it's like yeah we won't like we won't like arrest you if you just give us information. So that's their whole ploy here.
yeah. We don't really care that you're running like a den of prostitutes out of this hotel.
Which I think was something in in the previous episode too. Just people at the hotels running call girl services.
Yeah,
Potentially. Lisbon interviews Bigelow again. Or I guess this is the first time Lisbon interviews, but he gets interviewed again. And Bigelow's getting women for Brava. Which is like sort of ironic because like it's like I don't know the call girl situation, but in some way they're being trafficked, especially if they have a pimp. So it's ironic that he's like using call girls to get satisfied for whatever.
yeah. If you're interested in like
Unless he's just
stopping the
doing deep
exploitation,
research. Yeah.
yeah, of humans, but yeah, okay.
Bigelow points to Clarette, or it's like Claret or whatever, and then Van
Yeah.
Pelt interviews her, and then she has a key to Brava's place, which, like you said, it's like just some residency in Oakland where he takes these women. And then so Rigsby and Cho head over there, and then they find like a call girl card that has Carmen on it. It's like, this must be the mysterious Carmen, because the Carmen keeps getting brought up again and again, where it's like one of those Jane things where it's like as they're leaving the scene, it's like, oh, do you know what Carmen is? Like it's something that happens in like every third episode.
Yeah,
Where it's like nobody knows something till the end. You know, this random thing I'm being brought up. Now it has purpose. And they're back at headquarters, and Van Pelt's like tracking down one of the Carmens, but then there's also they get pointed to a different Carmen, and so they get pointed in separate ways. Jane and Van Pelt go to a motor court, and Fry's just there. She shows up.
yeah,
And they're talking about somebody named Sally Alvarez, and then Fry says like, "Oh, she's already passed on to the afterlife." And then we cut to like, is it Cho and Riggs? Oh, who finds the dead? Oh, Cho and Rigsby find the dead body.
Rigsby, yeah,
And that's Sally Alvarez, but it's like, but she's also being called Carmen in some ways. And then Jane meet Carmen Reyes, who claims to be Brava's daughter.
yeah,
Van Pelt interviews Carmen. She says that she met him the night before Brava died, and she told him she was his daughter, but Brava got mad because he said he already had a daughter and that she was like a scam artist and kicked her out. And then so like the team interview Ilsa again, and then she says she couldn't have children, and she was like accepting of Brava's flaws, but then then Jane like sets up another like ruse with a seance. And
Yeah.
so basically Jane gets all the potential suspects in for the seance. They light a candle. They light a candle. The edit plays like spooky music for the scene, but it's not actually in the scene. But you know that's just what you do. You put spooky movie over stuff to pretend what's going on. Although I think in the previous episode with the Fry character, they literally played spooky music and stuff.
I seem to remember that. Like,
um, you know, Fry does her thing. And I think like Jane kind of picks up on some. He's like pretending to hear like he says like Brava says vengeance is coming and like blood will flow or something like that. And then like Jane like does like a sudden move and then Bigelow like falls over scared and then there's like Bigelow did it. It's like okay. And then basically they like the whole thing is like Bigelow who like just resented working for this guy.
here comes one of the dumbest like motivations for murder I think I've heard, and this plot that was created by Bigelow and the other Carmen, the one that got murdered, was the most convoluted. Like, yeah, you're never going to collect on that type nonsense. I would like this episode up until Bigelow like is just finally breaks under interrogation.
Yeah.
It's like, this is why I did it. And it's like, well, there's like $1 million this guy knows about it. He works for the cartels trafficking secretly. I was thinking it would be something like that.
Yeah. But no, he just wanted to blackmail Brava because he resented him because he always had to get call girls for him. And so he got a call girl to he learned about him having like a secret daughter, and so he got a call girl to pretend.
We intercepted her letter.
Yeah. And so I got a call girl to pretend to be his daughter so he could like, haha, you slept with your daughter. Now you're being blackmailed.
Yeah, it was like a weird incest blackmail scam.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
And apparently in the speech, he was just going to like reveal everything or whatever. And so that's why he killed him. And then he killed Sally Alvarez also just to like cover things up. And so, yeah, it's just like,
using his favorite assassination technique of a skinny kind of nerdy research assistant of crushing their skulls with, because they make like blunt force trauma sound easy. It's like, no, that means you're crushing their skull to the point that their brain dies. Like, you can do it if you're swinging a pipe wrench or something around, but he's just like grabbing things like fire extinguishers. I don't know what he killed Alvarez with, but
yeah, something around.
Yeah, just like just breaking skulls everywhere. Angry man.
That did right because like Jane said the thing about blood will flow and revenge will happen. It's like, is the daughter gonna kill Bigelow?
Yeah, I figured Bigelow was gonna get stabbed or shot or something.
No, she just punches him and his nose bleeds, and so that's like a fun thing where Fry is like, "See, you do have the gift," and Jane's just like, "No, that's a coincidence." And they're heading out. Jane and Fry are like leaving the HQ, and then he's like smitten by her, but he's like also afraid, and so he invites her to coffee, but she kind of like rain checks it, but says to call sometime later. So
yeah, she's an agent of Red John, I'm sure. Sure, that's where that's going. Could be wrong.
Yeah,
I've been waiting for Hightower to show her hand.
Yeah,
but that doesn't. It seems like that like came on strong and just kind of went into the background. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, I was kind of expecting this to be like something to lead until the last episode, but I think the next episode's got to be something all Red John or something. So
yeah,
because that's what they did in the first season. But I was expecting more breadcrumbs to the next episode, so I have no idea what's going to happen in the next episode. So.
Right, we'll see.
The image on the episode is just like the one from the first episode where he like goes home and like sits on the bed on the ground and it has like the Red John symbol on the wall and he's like never cleaned it.
Yeah.
Like that's the image for this next episode. It's like, well, that's gonna be dark.
Yep. Now we're gonna get back to like what the show really is about. A guy whose family was murdered by a psychopath. And he himself is also like of questionable character on a lot of things. Uh,
And for our third show, we have Miami Vice, Season 2, Episode 22, Trust Fund Pirates. Original air date May 2nd, 1986, NBC Friday. A Bolivian cruise ship is attacked by pirates, leading Crockett and Tubbs to enlist the help of a renegade pilot and the contraband business to solve the case. Showrunner Michael Mann, written by Daniel Pine, and directed by Jim Johnston. Immediately, we have Noogie is back, and he's rapping with Richard Belzer.
yes. Who's wearing an eye patch like a pirate.
They're on some boat, and there's like a lady doing Pilates or something. One of that like 80s fitness equipment that didn't really do anything, but
yeah. People were much thinner back then, though.
Also, food sucked back then, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and you had to have 24 hours to eat Burger King.
Yeah. We have there's like a mast that comes up out of the boat and has like a small skull and crossbones flag on it. And then we cut to Vice where Tubbs is like listening to Belzer's like pirate radio station. So that's what the thing coming out was, the antenna, which seemed like a pretty small antenna, but whatever.
Yeah.
And maybe he's just pumping out more electricity to get it out there. And then we have like a montage with a Randy Newman Miami song.
Yeah.
Is that just him? Did I Love LA already exist, or did this predate that?
I don't know. I think yeah, it was a weird like, hey, let's get all the second unit stuff we shot and put it into one thing, and then I'll put
some of it's just stuff from the
from the title, sequence. Yeah. Like all the Rolls Royces in a row, and yeah, there's different stuff. And it was women on the beach, and in the weird 80s beach fashion.
And then we're at like some foreigners like boat, and they're like looking for a plane. Then we cut to another boat that says customs on it, but then they just open fire on the foreigners' boat.
Yeah, just like rake the boat down with like an M60.
Yeah, it's like attached to the boat.
And they show the boat, interestingly, like they show the boat being shot to pieces and all the stuff inside exploding. They don't show anyone getting hit.
Yeah.
But then when the guys get on, which I assume would probably just be too dangerous to do.
Yeah.
But then they show the guys getting on the boat and everyone's dead in there.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, if you want to go that far, you can see the belt on the M60. You can see that the front, there's no bullets on it. They just crimp the front end, and it's just firing blanks. So.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So if you want to get really specific.
Like, yeah, I just checked out the whole episode because of that.
Why'd that boat blow itself up? Why is that guy shooting blanks at it? Yeah, so it gets shot up, and then we go to the credits, the opening credit sequence. And then there's like and then we have them, the pirates boarding the boat, and they're just like a bunch of like eccentric white guys with weapons.
Yeah, they look like frat guys, but with like machine guns.
One of them has like a chromed like Spaz 12 shotgun.
Yeah, it's a weird, yeah.
And then they're just like ripping the boat apart looking for coke, and then they find it just like in the ceiling of something that's kind of like just a canvas ceiling or something. And they leave, and then there's a seaplane that like lands. This is kind of an interesting thing. They have like the Belzer character like kind of in between scenes, like filling things with like his pirate radio, but it's like not necessarily like on the nose. It's just like he's in the background, which is good for like transitioning, but like overall didn't really mean anything to the plot. He's just kind of a character that exists and kind of like shows them on their way. But like, do you know if this guy did they ever have him back in an episode?
No.
Okay.
These are just kind of the eccentric people that show up on Miami Vice as kind of, it's like, oh, there's an idea here. Because this guy's providing like a background narrative for the whole like culture down there.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically Wolfman Jack from American Graffiti. So.
Yeah, yeah. Which I believe was supposed to become a regular thing with this pirate radio guy over the radio saying stuff, but it just never really carried on from here. Okay.
I mean, it's a good way to like if you have a bad episode, like that is a good way to stitch things together and have it like be more serviceable and interesting. So,
Yeah,
so I could have seen that happening, but because they imply that like that Tubbs is like a big fan of this pirate radio.
right.
uh, but yeah, the guy there's a seaplane that lands next to the boat. He gets on board and he's just kind of like, this is a bummer. And so he just steals some sonar equipment and then leaves
Right.
because like he needs to get something out of the deal because he was supposed to get the coke but he didn't.
Now the guy, because the actor Gary Cole, plays that character. His name's
Yeah.
Jackson Crane.
Yeah,
Now it was supposed to be Glenn Fry was supposed to reprise his role as the smuggling pilot.
yeah. This was supposed to be like a sequel to Smuggler's Blues.
Yeah, but he was not available, so they put this guy in, who actually did a good job.
Yeah,
He was an interesting
yeah.
character.
It's a young Gary Cole who you'll most
Yeah.
know him as the shitty boss from Office Space.
Right, right. Very young Gary Cole.
Or probably the weirdest credit I know from him is that he was the star in the Babylon 5 spin-off for TNT called Crusade.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he was the captain of the Excalibur or whatever. Yeah.
And then we cut to like Vice or like looking at photos like Castillo's, and it's just photos of the abandoned boat. And they say it's been like sitting there for 3 days or whatever. And the pirates stole the customs boat to attack that boat.
Yeah, I wondered where they got that boat that said U.S. Customs on it,
Yeah.
but it's like, oh, they just stole it and then ditched it in the Keys with keys of cocaine.
And then we have Zito and Switek are buying sonar from Tommy Chong.
Yeah.
Who's named Jumbo T.R. Collins. Well, his nickname's Jumbo. His real name's T.R. Collins. We'll just call him Jumbo.
Yeah.
Yeah, more pirate radio, and then Tubbs and Crockett go to an airplane graveyard. There's like gunfire, but it's just some lady shooting rats with a MAC-10.
Yeah.
So they meet Jumbo. Jumbo was supposed to get the coke, but like the airplane guy, he tried to like cover it up or at least get some money back by selling the guy the sonar because it was expensive. So
Yeah.
and then Jumbo ends up like pointing to Captain Hook, the pirate radio guy, and so they head over to his place.
Well, first of all, I want to talk about some stuff that happened in the Jumbo and Fluffy scene because things kind of like get intense with Sonny and Crockett and Tubbs talking to Jumbo.
Oh, yeah.
And then the wife like points the MAC-10, which is like fully automatic weapon, at Crockett. And then Tubbs is behind her and he sticks a shotgun at her side. He's like, yeah, I don't think so. And then he takes the MAC-10 from her and then just like takes the magazine out and then just hands her the gun back. Like, it's like, just let's be cool. You know, they work something out and they get, steered towards the, Noogie and Captain Hook again.
Yeah.
But then he just hands her the magazine back as he's leaving. I know they're not like blowing their spot up as they're supposed to be undercover, but it's like that's a weird like scene. It's like, here's your fully automatic weapon back, which by the way, everyone's completely illegal to have in America.
Well, if you can have it if it's pre-banned.
Well, I mean, not if you're like a cocaine dealer living in a plane graveyard. I doubt they filed for the like class 4 permit or whatever.
Well, I guess was this 85 or 86?
Yeah, 86.
I'm not sure when the ban took place, but it wasn't. I believe the ban took place in 86. But
okay.
I can't remember. I've never bought an automatic weapon.
Yeah, I've never really looked into it. It doesn't seem like something I need in my life. I can barely afford bullets at semi-automatic, let alone just running through hundreds of them.
Let's get a 1972 MAC-10.
Just relive my Miami Vice fantasies.
For and you have to pay like $22,000.
Yeah, and I don't have any Fourth Amendment rights, and I have to build a safe into my house like a bank vault to even have it, and they can come audit it anytime. It's like, yeah, I'm not interested in this because I can't afford to shoot it. See if I can run that by the wife. Hey, can we spend $50,000 so I can have a fully automatic weapon? Sure, honey.
We're gonna get so many friends.
Yeah, meet all kinds of great people. It's like church. Just gonna come sit in the living room and pass it around.
So Tub and Crow go to the pirate boat. They're looking, and they get pointed at the pilot, who's Jackson. So they go to they show up at the airfield at like dusk. And then like Jackson's like flying a remote control helicopter. But he says like, "Oh, you're Tubbs and Crockett," or yeah, he says you're Tubbs and Crockett, or they're what is it?
Yeah,
Their cover names. I can't
they're
remember.
nom de plurums, Burnett and Cooper.
Yeah. Because this is where it's like the handoff. It's because they Jackson knows the character from the Smuggler's Blues episodes. That's kind of like their handoff. Is like, okay, this is that's where the guy knows him. But Jackson says he's trying to be on the straight and narrow. They don't buy it. The trust fund pirates take the coke to Jumbo to try to sell it back to him. Jumbo tests the coke and he's like excited by the quality and he's like going to take him over to pay him. And the dude with like the chrome Spaz 12 is like trying to like set up an ambush, but then Fluffy, the Mac 10 lady, gets the drop on him. And then Jumbo and Fluffy suspect that, you know, it's a whole setup, even though like Jumbo's like, "Oh, that's kind of weird that like I was supposed to get 8 keys of coke and you suddenly have 8 keys of coke." And I'm like, I don't know if he's like actually supposed to be like, he doesn't get that those are those two together, because I think Fluffy has to yell out loud like, "It's a setup," and they grab the coke and run, and then they're like, it's the airplane graveyard. It's too hard to chase him. We'll just have to let it go, because they set up the payment as just like a bag of money hanging from an airplane part, and it's all fake money.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically establishes two things: that Fluffy and Jumbo are actually cunning criminals, because you wouldn't want to chase people through an airplane graveyard who had a fully automatic weapon at night. And number two, it's like these guys don't care.
Yeah.
They're just like in this for the thrills. Like, oh yeah, we didn't lose money on the cocaine. We stole the boat. Like, we don't have a lot of cash into this. And then you find out later, it's like, oh, they're just like a bunch of rich kids, just like, we're bored.
Yeah.
We just want to wholesale murder people. And also there's like, they're racists too. Yeah. It's like, oh, this is a weird commentary. And it's like, this was like the Purge before it was the Purge.
They're ahead of their time.
Yep.
Or it just never went away, you know. Whatever.
Yeah, it just changed form. It's just, these guys are now the parents of the like racist kids running around, you know, America now. It's like, this is what mom and dad did in the 80s. Just murdered drug dealers and had thrills.
So Tubbs and Crockett are trying to use Jackson to get to the pirates. They like set up some play where they're trying to get like Mac 10s to Central America.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Well, yeah. Oh, remember we were talking about this? Okay, yeah.
And then Tubbs and Crockett are like interviewing Jackson's girlfriend at an arcade. She's playing the Mario Brothers arcade.
Yeah.
And they're
and that's when we find out like Jackson is like engaged to this girl, and he's like talking about getting out of the business earlier. It's like, yeah, when you turn 30, you know you're not going to be immortal anymore. And we find out like this girl is anywhere from the ages between, I don't know, 18 and 20.
Yeah.
She's talking about when she turns 22, she gets like $13 million in a trust fund.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, this is how Jackson is, he's going to just con this woman out of her money. Is this how he cleans up? But then it like takes but anyway, yeah. Interesting thing about Jackson and his girlfriend.
Also, like the girl, I think is it like Lisa, or what is her name? It's like Lena. Yeah, Lena. Like Tubbs and she's telling like what's all great about Jackson, and then like Tubbs and Crockett are basically laughing because they know he just told her a bunch of lies.
Yeah.
He tried to make him look like he's adventurous and stuff like that. Because she says like she likes him because her dad is boring. So
yeah.
But also they're supposed to get married in like 6 weeks, and they've known each other for like a month or something. And then Jackson's like in some abandoned building that's like a drug den. He's looking for the pirates. He like trades drugs for info on the pirates. And then some street toughs come by and try to rough up Jackson because they knew the guys that got killed on the boat and they think that like he was involved with killing them.
Yeah.
But then the trust fund pirates show up and they throw the toughs away. They just throw them off a balcony.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is where we learn that the pirates are just trust fund kids who are like they're just bored and racist and they're just in it for the thrill and they're just ripping off and killing brown people essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, what does it say? It's like it's ruining the country for real Americans or something like that.
Yeah.
It's like it was an interesting twist on these guys. It's because usually everyone in Miami Vice is some kind of criminal or desperate person. It's like these people are just psychopaths. I mean, they're sociopaths or whatever.
They don't have to do anything for the rest of their lives, and they choose to do this.
Yeah, they choose to like high stakes murder and stuff.
Steal government property to kill foreigners.
Yeah.
And then we have Jackson just like trying to stop the whole setup with Tubbs and Crockett because he's like talking with Lena, and then she's like, "Well, who cares? Like, it's their fault if they're gonna get killed." So
yeah.
he's like,
"They're big boys."
And then they go to like all talk to each other. So the pirates and Crockett and Tubbs and Jackson are all in the airplane hangar. They like descend from the ceilings and have Mac 10s that they hold them up with. Rather than that's how they do the negotiation is under gunpoint.
Yeah, because like they swing down on ropes or drop down, and even like Sonny's like, "Oh, fun," because it's like so ridiculous.
And we have Tubbs and Crockett like they're it's like a couple scenes later, and we have their Tubbs and Crockett are loading the guns onto Jackson's plane, and then Jackson's like talking about his future. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna marry this girl. It's like, this has got to be the last score or whatever like that. So this seems like he's like trying to be legit, like, oh, this is the last one. It's like, and then I'll marry her, and then we'll have kids, and then when she's 22, we'll be millionaires.
Well, now when they're at the airport loading the guns, he's like saying, "I'm not doing this."
Yeah.
He straight up tells him, "He's like Skip's going to kill you." There's going to be no exchange of money or boats, or he's just going to kill you and take the guns, and then he's being really emphatic about it, and then Lanny just pulls out a gun, is like, "Yeah, Skip said you'd flake on us." and then I don't know if I missed it. It's like, oh, that's Skip's sister.
Yeah.
It's like, did I miss that earlier? No,
that's when it's revealed. Because I mean, that's what it's like. Oh, because we learned that those guys are trust fundies, and then we know that she's also trust fundee, and basically we learn like, oh, like he's the trust fund kid that now has his money, but she doesn't yet. So that's why basically like we don't know, because she can't go out on adventures and kill brown people like her brother does. So,
yeah.
Also, we have like, she holds him up, and then they all get on a plane that's meant for like two people, but
and with a bunch of guns in the back of it. Because one of those planes, it's like it's a seaplane or it can land at an airport, but it's got that monopod engine.
Yeah.
Like with the blade facing backwards in the middle.
And it's like above the plane.
Yeah.
And Zito and Switek are like watching at a distance, and they sense something's wrong, but it's like their observation like doesn't help Tubbs and Crockett whatsoever.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like, let's have them do something. Which they're like looking at like some airplane magazine. He's like talking about, it's like, you set the APU, and then like they're just going through a bunch of stuff. And then they land at some like island dock or something. I don't know where the hell they're at, but it's kind of a secluded area.
Well, no, that's Lanny's house.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah. Because that's where they were having lunch.
And then they're handing off the boxes of Mac 10s, and as they open it up, the box explodes, and that gives like Tubbs and Crockett like room to like fight back and grab guns and shoot people. And so, and I think Jackson like keeps Alina from shooting at anybody, but then he pulls out a flare gun and he shoots Skip with it, and it, I guess kills him, and he lands in the pool, And if that didn't kill him, he's obviously drowned by the end of the episode.
Well, yeah, because he basically like Jackson stops Lanny from shooting Tubbs, and then he shoots the guy with the flare gun from his plane, which looks like an old-fashioned blunderbuss type flare gun, because that guy's going to shoot Crockett, and he shoots him with the flare gun, which is like that's a movie thing that those kill people. I mean, or maybe they did back then. Yeah,
I mean, it would hurt.
Oh yeah, I mean, just a flaming thing hitting you. It's like the hot shot round from Dread. It's just like well, that would suck to be hit by one of those.
I'm pretty sure if you got shot in the head, like all chance you could die for some reason. But a gut shot, I don't think he would kill you.
Yeah, I don't know how those work, because I've seen a couple movies where those are used as like a primary weapon by the hero to stop something. Because I think it was like Dead Calm, they did that, and it's like, yeah, I don't think they're sharp on the end. I don't think they're designed to like
blunt. So.
Yeah, they don't have like a spike on them. Unless he modified it that way, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
But you know, if he just got knocked out and fell into the pool, then Sonny and Crockett and Jackson are just sitting there like, oh, I think he's drowned yet. Let's go check.
I'll just let the father find the body.
Yeah,
because they just leave. They don't put it in a report.
Skip just Jackson just jumps in his plane because Crockett tells him it's like, oh, we can put you in like witness protection now, and you can get out of this life. And
yeah, after this, like Jackson's like kind of distraught. He says, I aided and abetted cops. And Crockett's like, there's nothing illegal about that.
Yeah, it's not against the law to help the police because he saved both our lives. So
yeah, and Crockett says he's going to help Jackson like go straight and get a new identity and stuff like that. But that's not finalized, and Jackson just kind of leaves thinking about it.
Yeah, he flew off in his weird plane. Yeah. It's like, where am I going to fly a weird plane in witness protection? I'm going to be working at Cinnabon in the mall with Better Call Saul. You know, I don't think that's a life for me.
Yeah, that's pretty much the end of the episode. So.
Yeah, it was a stupid episode with kind of interesting.
Yeah, interesting stuff.
But yeah, overall, it was just kind of they're not all going to be home runs, you know.
Well, I thought like structurally this episode was fine because there's like compared to the last episode, I'd say like this is probably a better episode. But I thought the last episode had like better performances and kind of more interesting ideas.
Yeah.
But this is probably a better episode like structurally than that. But yeah, we go. And then next week's the season finale, so see what happens there.
Should be good.
Well, if you like what you heard, you can find us at anchor.fm/Verhoeven Effect, or you can go to verhoeveneffect.com. Takes you to the same thing. You can rate our podcast whatever you want, but the only thing the algorithm listens to is what the highest rating is. We have listener support at verhoeveneffect.com, where you can support us at a monthly stipend of either 99 cents, $4.99, or $9.99, or cancel anytime, whatever. And you can find us at Twitter at Verhoeven Effect. You can Facebook at Verhoeven Effect. You can find us on YouTube at American Greed Factory. You can watch both that and this show live and unedited. And we also have t-shirts at belowthecollar.com/Greed Factory. So for the Verhoeven Effect podcast, I'm Colin.
I'm Nathan.
Goodbye, America.